In computer science, we have various programming paradigms or styles of programming like procedural, functional, object-oriented, event-driven, logic, aspect-oriented, and so on. Out of all these, object-oriented and functional are the two most popular paradigms we use these days. So these programming paradigms are ways or styles of writing code. They're not programming languages. We classify programming languages based on the paradigms they support. Some languages like Smalltalk support a single paradigm. Other languages like Python, Ruby, Java, and JavaScript, to name a few, support multiple paradigms. In object-oriented programming, everything is based on the concept of objects. These objects are units that contain some data, also called state, and operations on the data, also called behavior. These are the methods or functions that modify the data. So in object-oriented programming, we bring together the data and methods that operate on it in a single object. In functional programming, we take the opposite approach. We assume that data and behavior are fundamentally different, so we keep them separate. This is a completely different style of programming. You can solve the same problem using both these paradigms. Your code will end up looking different. Now, which style is better? Well, it depends on who you ask. Some people like John Smith here love a certain style of programming, and they try to solve every single programming problem in the world that way. Here's another John Smith who hates object-oriented programming because he tried it and failed. In my opinion, he never learned it properly, and it's not his fault. The problem is that object-oriented programming is complex, and most books and courses out there fail to explain it properly. So back to our question, what programming paradigm is the best? The answer is, it depends on the problem you're trying to solve. One of the major issues we have in the software industry these days is that developers are more excited about languages, tools, and frameworks than solving problems. A lot of developers out there, even those with years of experience, have no idea what I mean by problem solving. They think they do, but they really don't. Problem solving is the process of defining a problem, identifying and comparing different solutions, and picking the one that best solves the problem with respect to the context and constraints. A lot of developers out there dismiss the context and constraints, and they see things as black or white. They have their favorite languages and tools, and they use them for every single problem. Now, back to our question. Some people claim that object-oriented programming is often a better choice for creating graphical user interfaces and games. On the other hand, functional programming makes more sense for applications that require a high level of reliability or problems that involve messages being passed around and getting transformed along the way. But this is just a basic guideline. Don't take it as a hard and fast rule. In a single application, we may use different paradigms. We may use the event-driven paradigm in certain parts where it makes the most sense, and functional or object-oriented in other parts. It all depends on the problem we're trying to solve. No paradigm works best in all situations. Remember, in software engineering, there's no such a thing as one size fits all. Every problem is different, so there's no such a thing as the best language or the best paradigm or the best framework. It all depends on the problem and, more importantly, on the context and the budget. So don't fall in love with one solution and apply it to every single problem like this guy over here. So now that you know object-oriented is a programming paradigm, let's look at its benefits next.